In a small, quiet village nestled between rolling green hills lived a young woman named Elara. Her cottage, though modest, was always filled with the comforting scent of baking. Elara's heart was as warm as her oven, and her greatest joy was crafting simple cakes and breads. But ingredients were scarce, and her pantry was often nearly bare. Still, what little she had, she shared. Every morning the village children would gather at her door, their faces lighting up as she handed them small sweet cakes, each one baked with a measure of love that made up for what it lacked in sugar or spice. She found happiness not in having much, but in giving much of what she had. One crisp autumn morning, Elara ventured deeper into the whispering woods than ever before, searching for wild apples or nuts. As sunlight dabbled through the canopy, she stumbled upon a hidden grove she'd never seen. There, bathed in a soft, ethereal light, were bushes laden with berries that pulsed with a gentle, golden glow. They looked like tiny captured suns. Cautiously, she picked one. It felt warm to the touch and smelled of honey and summer rain. Overcome with curiosity, she filled her basket with these mysterious, glowing fruits and hurried back to her little cottage, her heart thumping with a sense of wonder and excitement. Back in her kitchen, the magical berries illuminated the room with their soft light. Elara decided to bake a simple loaf of bread, kneading the glowing berries directly into the dough. As it baked, an incredible aroma filled the air, far richer and more wonderful than anything she had ever smelled before. When she pulled the loaf from the oven, it wasn't just golden brown. It was literally glowing, a soft, warm light pulsing from within its crust. She broke off a small piece and tasted it. It was extraordinary. A wave of pure warmth and unadulterated joy washed over her, a feeling of deep contentment that chased away every worrying. Eager to share this discovery, she ran outside and offered slices to her neighbors. With every bite, their faces transformed. Worries melted away, arguments ceased, and a quiet, contagious happiness spread through the entire village. The glowing berry bread wasn't just food, it was a miracle. News of the king's grand proclamation soon reached their small village, carried by a royal messenger on a fine white horse. The king was hosting a royal baking competition. The finest bakers from every corner of the kingdom were invited to the capital to showcase their skills. The winner would be named the new royal baker, a position of great honor and privilege. The villagers, who had all experienced the magic of Elara's bread, gathered around her. "You must go, Elara," they insisted. "Your bread is the most wonderful thing in the world." Elara was hesitant. She was just a simple village baker with a tattered apron and a humble oven. How could she possibly compete against the wealthy, renowned bakers of the capital? But seeing the hopeful faces of her friends, of the children she fed each day, she found a new resolve. With their blessings and a basket full of glowing berries, she set off on the long journey to the royal palace. The grand hall of the palace was a dizzying spectacle of opulence. Marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers, and long tables were laden with the most exotic and expensive ingredients imaginable. Mounds of glistening frostings, rare spices from distant lands, and sugar spun into delicate, glittering sculptures. The other contestants were dressed in fine silks and velvets, their workstations manned by teams of assistants. They looked at Elara in her simple dress with her single basket of strange, glowing berries and scoffed. Whispers and snickers followed her as she found her small, designated space. They saw a poor girl from the countryside, completely out of her depth, but Elara ignored them. She closed her eyes, thought of her home, of the smiling children, and the warmth of her own small kitchen. With a steady hand, she began to work her magic. As the competition progressed, the hall filled with the aromas of complex cakes and elaborate pastries. The other bakers crafted towering confections, architectural marvels of sugar and flour designed to impress the judges with their sheer extravagance. Elara, meanwhile, simply prepared her humble loaf. She kneaded the dough with care, mixing in the glowing berries that pulsed with their soft, magical light. When her bread went into the oven, a new scent began to weave its way through the hall, warm, inviting aroma of honey, sunshine, and pure happiness that cut through the cloying sweetness of the other creations. The judges, the contestants, and even the royal family turned their heads, their expressions shifting from disdain to curiosity. Something truly special was happening at the humble baker's station. The time for judging arrived. One by one, the bakers presented their elaborate creations to the stern-faced judges and the royal family. There were multi-tiered cakes adorned with gold leaf and pastries shaped like swans floating on a lake of spun sugar. They were beautiful, but they felt cold, lacking a soul. Finally, it was Elara's turn. She walked forward and placed her single, rustic loaf on the grand judging table. A collective gasp went through the hall. The bread was glowing, pulsing with a gentle, warm light that seemed to fill the room. The other contestants looked on in disbelief. The head judge, a famously grumpy man, broke off a piece. As he ate it, his stern expression softened, melting into a smile he hadn't worn in years. The queen took a bite, and a single, happy tear rolled down her cheek. The king himself tried a slice, and a hearty, genuine laugh boomed through the silent hall. The bread didn't just taste divine, it filled them all with an overwhelming sense of peace and joy. Without a moment's hesitation, the king stood and declared Elara the winner. The hall erupted in applause, the other bakers now looking at her not with scorn, but with awe. Elara was appointed the new royal baker, but she didn't forget where she came from. She used her new position and resources not for herself, but to enrich her entire village. She built a new, larger bakery where anyone could learn her craft, ensured the children would never go hungry, and cultivated the magical berries in a garden for all to share. Elara's story spread throughout the kingdom, a tale of a humble baker who proved that the most valuable ingredients aren't rare spices or glistening sugar, but the kindness in your heart and the perseverance to share your gifts with the world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a little warmth and happiness today.